Welcome back to another edition of what I like to call making mistakes and changing your mind, because that's what I seem to do all the time. So I've made my mistakes and I've sort of done some damage. So I was going to put another coat of the paper mache over the top of this, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to coat it in epoxy resin, and then I'm going to give it a smooth coat of an industrial filler and smooth that off, and that will bring it up to a nice sort of standard. And then I can probably give it, usually about 12 coats of a good gloss. So I will coat it in epoxy resin and let that dry, and then cover it with bog. Well, there you go. I've totally coated the outside of the hull in epoxy resin. I'm going to also totally coat the inside as well once this dries. But one little tip: do not let the epoxy resin touch the mould, because it'll dissolve it straight away. So there was a couple of holes in there, so I hope it hasn't dripped through and dissolve the mould. Now, so far I have epoxied the hull on the outside, and now what I'm going to do is put a industrial filler over the outside to smooth it up and make it nice and fair. So I'll do that. Okay, so I'm just applying the filler over the epoxy, and it's going on really well. I'm only applying it on just very roughly. Then I'll go over and sand it with some pretty coarse sandpaper, and then give it another coat and another coat and another coat until it's up to the standard that I want. But it's all looking really good. This stuff is really beautiful for sanding, very easy to sand, so I won't have any trouble there. There we go. So I'll just go around now and just smooth some of the patches out that are sticking up a little bit. I don't want to have to sand too hard, but I'll do that, and then when it dries I'll give it a sand and another layer, and it'll just get better and better all the time. So I did half of this side the other day and it's set, so I'm just going to go over now and second coat it, and it's just getting smoother and smoother as I go. It's going to be terrific. See, now you can really get a nice smooth sort of surface onto it. It's starting to get a little bit hard, just stiffening up a little bit, so I'll get done what I can. and be happy with it. I see, so what happens if you keep going, when it starts to harden off, it'll get a little hard lump in there and it'll drag a channel as you go. So I'll stop now, let that set, give it a hell of a good sand, and then put on another coat. That's great. And because I just can't stop working on this project while I'm waiting for the filler to dry, I'm going to make the inside deck of the model as well. So I'll do that as well. So this filler is just about dry. So what I can do is I'll flip it over and show you how I'm going to shape the deck. I have a pattern for another model that I'm going to make, which is this one, but it actually fits inside this hull quite nicely, but it's just not exactly right. As you can see, it needs to come out to the sides a bit more and just be a little bit tidier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a sort of a temporary pattern to get the exact shape of the deck that I want. So what I'll do is I will brace this up a bit because it's pretty flimsy, and then I'm going to put little battens sticking out to the length that it's supposed to go to. I'll show you what I'm going to do. To strengthen the pattern, I'm going to just get a piece of wood, and I'm just going to glue that down just temporarily, just so it doesn't wobble around too much. So whack that down on the bottom, and it'll dry before you know it. So now what I'll do, it's pretty well dry now, I'm going to lay this in about where I want it. I want to make sure that it's sitting level so I know what level is. That's pretty much where I'll have it. Now what I'll do with the hot glue gun, I'm going to take these little battens of MDF, and what I'll do is I'm going to put it to where I want it to go out to, and I'm just going to glue that down. Just like that. Another one. Just spread along. Now I'm just going to keep on going like that all the way around. This is the way I got all of my patterns when I was boat building. So, So now I've got the pattern all sort of laid out. All I have to do is now lay this onto a piece of ply and then just run a batten along the edge, and I'll have exactly the shape that I want.